The most recent episode of The Amazing Digital Circus gave us a really interesting glimpse into the life of Gangle, not just showing us where she worked, but potentially how she somehow ended up in the digital circus by getting hit by a bus. So let's talk about this and how other characters like Kinger in particular may have hints about their own backstories in other episodes. My name is Deepcut, welcome back to the channel, and let's jump into it. Now, the premise of The Amazing Digital Circus is that each of these avatarized characters is actually a human consciousness trapped in a video game. Pomni makes this clear when she tries to take off the VR headset all the way back in episode 1, but somehow the VR goggles don't come off. The characters are shown to forget their names in the show, and because of that, a lot of people thought that the characters didn't remember anything from before the game, but it's been clarified online and in the show now that this isn't the case. There have been a lot of theories about how and why this would happen, but the most recent episode seems to point to Gangle at the very least being trapped here after being hit by a car in her human life. In the episode, Kane creates the adventure that he calls an honest day's hard labor at the fast food chain for Spudsies, with the word honestly here being used to reflect Gangle's honest experience working at Spudsies in real life. This included real work and emotional highs and lows, but also the mysterious ending where Gangle almost gets hit by the bus before quickly being saved by Kane, who whisks her back to the digital circus. This feels like important symbolism, as it seems to be saying that Gangle was hit by the bus in real life and that the only reason she has some sort of active life now is because her consciousness was moved to the digital circus. Without the digital circus, she could be even in a comatose state, with the car accident being the last thing that Gangle remembers. It is possible that she was paralyzed but not unconscious and made the choice to enter the circus because of that, but no one really acts like they're there by choice. Instead, it seems like someone decided for Gangle that they should live on in this game than in whatever state they were left in after being hit by the vehicle. My editor Haro suggested that this is why Gangle looks the way she does in the circus, being just a face or head still containing her working consciousness and emotions, and elsewise just having ribbons that look like mangled limbs or even just bloody remains. All of this symbolizing that all that was left was her mind and not so much her working body. And Gangle may not even know that someone put her into the game on purpose, as even with the characters seemingly knowing about their lives before, they aren't too sure on how they got there, or else are keeping it a secret. In the episode before this, we got to see an adventure that was focused more so on Kinger, who purposely sat out this Spudsy adventure to let others have the attention that they needed. In this Haunted Mansion episode, the story is a lot more metaphorical, as opposed to working at Spudsy's, which was the real-life job of Gangle. At the Haunted Mansion, however, we get Kinger's real-life experience filtered through the story of the fallen angel and the man trying to hunt it. This is the story that Kinger and Pomni hear when listening to the tapes in the mansion, where it's explained that this angel hunter was so obsessed with hunting a fallen angel that he ended up shooting his own wife by mistake. In previous videos, I'd theorized that this was meant to parallel how Kinger's wife Queenie abstracted inside of the game, with him being responsible for the emotional bullet that led her to finally breaking down and abstracting. However, with the recent episode hinting more so at Gangle's real-life origins instead of her story within the game, it sets the stage to reinterpret Kinger's story a lot more dramatically. Kinger is shown to be really skilled with a gun in the Haunted Mansion game, something I had written off as meaning he had played the game before, despite Kane's insistence that it was an entirely new adventure. If the Hunter's story is meant to parallel Kinger's own story in real life then, it would stand to reason that perhaps Kinger is so good with this gun is because he was good with one in real life, and that's part of the reason that he ended up here. If Kinger had shot his own wife by mistake, it would make sense that he would put her consciousness into the game in order to save her, or preserve what is left of her. Like with Gangle after getting hit by a car, it could have been the only way to keep her going in some form, and Kinger could have decided that he wanted to be in the game with her, explaining how he might have actually become Kinger. But then why would he have shot his wife? According to the tapes, the man who shot his wife was at first hunting an angel who was known to drag his victims into hell, with hell in the show actually being the digital circus. It's a surreal prison ruled over by an artificial intelligence demon who thinks he's a god and exists to make everyone else suffer because he doesn't understand the needs of a human soul. Kane, however, is not just a character in the digital circus game, but he is believed to be named and modeled after one of the game's actual creators. This has been a theory since episode 1, 1 when Pomni saw the logo in the office that Cain had created, modeled after the real office where the digital circus game is running. The C and A in the logo is believed to be a reference to Cain and Abel, the first two sons of Adam and Eve in the Bible, with the AI in the games, Cain and Bubble, being an in-game Easter egg referencing their creators. This is important because Cain in the Bible is also the first murderer, murdering his own brother Abel. Because of this, later Jewish texts like the Zohar depict Cain as the son of the fallen angel Samael, who is described as the leader of the rebellious fallen angels. So here we have all these references to Cain in the game, and perhaps the Cain in real life being something of a murdering fallen angel who drags you into hell, or in this case, the digital circus. This could go a lot of different directions in the show, but with what we have of Kinger's story, it could be that he knew someone was abusing the digital circus technology to trap the consciousness of people in the game. Like the character in the Haunted Mansion, he could have been obsessed with proving that someone, the real-life Cain perhaps, was behind this, but in trying to do so, only ended up shooting his wife. He likely would have gotten to this point after a long period of paranoia that he was next, that Cain or someone like him was about to put him into the game and end his human life. Thinking that someone was coming after him, he might have had his gun at the ready, which ended up just firing at his wife, and because of that, he may have turned to Cain himself to put his wife's consciousness in the game, and then his own so that he could always be with her. Over time, he would have gone insane and lost these memories, but they would have surfaced in the Haunted Manor, which was designed to reflect the player's greatest fears. This would make Kinger and Queenie rather later additions to the circus, with others before them having abstracted probably. And Gangel's own addition not being something of a murder, but something of a mercy as we discussed before. There is of course the possibility that there is no real villain and that whoever is putting these people in the game has only done so to help them, even if it doesn't seem that way. But with Cain being a murdering figure in Genesis, I'm going to go with the idea that Kinger was right to think that something wrong was happening. A popular theory I've seen in the comments after the Haunted Mansion episode is that Pomni believes that she was purposely put here by someone who is trying to torture her. A real-life Cain perhaps from outside of the game. This is because she claims that he is trying to make her suffer, without indicating who he actually is. The obvious answer is just the Cain within the game, who had made this new minigame in order to scare the people because he thought it would be fun for them. But some fans have interpreted this to be an accusation against a person who might have put her into the game. Though if that is a Cain-like figure from outside of the game, who our Cain in the game is modeled after, then technically both would be true. Pomni may have been tricked into the game rather easily. She may have just been asked to put on the headset to try the game out, not knowing that it had some sort of glitch that would immediately snap her consciousness into the game. If the Cain killer theory is true, he definitely has a lot of enemies because there were a lot of circus guests in the game who abstracted before Pomni got there. But when it comes to Ragatha and Zubul, it's hard to say what they could have done to make someone want to put them there. Jax I can imagine just being put there as some sort of punishment, but with everyone else it's hard to say. So what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you haven't seen it yet, consider checking out the video I did on the Disney Atlantis movie, where we go really deep into the real-life mythology, similar to what we did with the Zohar and the Book of Genesis for this video. See you guys there.